Brilliant. So yeah, it's a British accent in your ears right now. How's that?
It's amazing.
Yeah, good. I mean, do you know, there's a lot of Brits. You're in LA now, right?
Yeah, there are a lot of Brits. It's just like, do you know what it is? There are definitely lots of Brits here, but it's like just your everyday today thing, like grabbing coffee or like in the supermarket. Just you need to change your dialogue for people to understand you here. So it's nice to just be able to speak freely, you know.
You've been there a while though now, right? I mean, like, how long has it been for you in LA?
Yeah, I moved here in 2016, so I guess coming up to 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you like it though? Like overall, apart from obviously, the familiarity of a British accent every so often and that sort of British sensibility. I mean, do you like it as a place to call home? You do call it home, right?
I actually don't call it home. Home for me is wherever my like my mum and dad are.
Mm.
And I love England so much. I love London so much. So I think it wouldn't feel right for me to call LA home right now. I mean, that could change in the future, but right now, no. But yeah, I do like it here. I wish I could just scoop up my loved ones and bring them here.
Hey, I mean, that could happen eventually. I mean, LA is an attractive prospect to a lot of British people, especially it's 10, 15, 10, just coming up to 10:20 in the morning there. Is the sun shining?
Yes.
Yeah, because I can tell you right now, it's been not raining. It's an autumnal night here in London. It has been drizzling for about 4 hours. So
I don't know what to say to that. I'm sorry.
well, you miss drizzle. Yeah, LA doesn't really do drizzle.
I do miss seasons because there's not really seasons here, so I do miss that. But do I miss the depth of winter?
So it's your morning now. Have you been up long? Are you a morning person? Because I mean, obviously this is sort of mid-morning. Do you have a busy morning, or is this like the first thing you're doing today?
This isn't the first thing I'm doing, but I'm more of a night owl. I feel like the creative energy for me personally flows at night, which is so annoying, but that's just the way it is. But I do get up super early here, 6 or 7, because there's so much. The workday here starts so much earlier because of the UK. So I have to be up early to address everything UK before I can even start the US day, if that makes sense.
Wait, so hang on a sec. So you're picking up the tail end of the UK business day, like what, 5 or 6, is the first thing you're doing with your morning?
I have to be working before 5 p.m. UK time. Yeah, because otherwise then I waste a day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I guess it's because I mean, for wrong or for right, maybe it's because of the sort of shows that like you're making at the moment and then the film you've done recently. I sort of see most of your work as being LA based. So, not needing to sort of liaise with the UK as much.
It is mostly LA based, but my main agents are in the UK. So yeah, that's like a daily correspondence that needs to happen. And also I have a company that's in the UK as well that I have to
Oh wow.
oversee.
Okay, so and you can't delegate that. This is all right. Okay, no, this is coming from a complete control freak. So I'm terrible at delegating. I have to be all over everything. So if that's the reason, I can relate.
Yeah, when it comes to business, when it's not art, like I have to oversee that. I have to make sure shit gets done.
Can you tell me what the business is? What is the business? What is your business outside the arts?
Yeah, of course. It's a food product, so it's called Plant Punk, and it's a meat alternative.
Oh, I was going to swear. I don't know why I nearly stopped myself swearing. I mean, you've sworn 3 times. No, we can, and I always swear. Anyway, yeah, no, okay. Shit, that's awesome. Because I was going to bring this up actually. One of the reasons you must love LA, and genuinely as a city, there's nowhere else where I've experienced this. The vegan restaurants in Los Angeles are next level. It kind of puzzles me in the current climate that we have yet to be able to mirror that here in the UK?
Yeah, I feel you. You know, the UK actually isn't that far behind, because I would say LA and New York are probably the most ahead, but then I'd say the UK.
Yeah.
To be honest. Yeah.
I mean, okay, well, let's list some of them, and you can tell me whether you think that, I mean, if you know of a UK equivalent, because you can, I mean, I'm here, so you can point me in the right direction. But okay, so
yeah,
Crossroads on Melrose, that is, that is like just fundamentally one of the, it's next level.
Yeah. We went there actually for my friend's birthday on Tuesday, and like the food is just insane. It's so good. And one of our friends wasn't vegan, and she was just like, wait, how is this food vegan? We were like, duh.
Yeah, and that's the thing now, because okay, wait, there's two more, and then I'll ask you about that. There's Moby's restaurant, Little Pine. I don't want you to think I just went to all the celebrity restaurants, because I know Travis Barker.
I do feel like that. Are you stereotyping me, Alex?
No, these are where I went. So I went to Travis Barker from Blink 182's restaurant Crossroads. Then I went to Moby's Little Pine. That was nice as well.
Yeah.
And then what's the Mexican one? The Mexican one in yes, yeah. Have I just been to sort of the pretentious ones?
Yeah. That's like being like, yeah, I've been to Catch, I've been to Craig's, like that's like that. Okay, good. Well, that's good to know. I will say all of them were spectacular, but yeah, it did feel like these were the spots to be eating in, which always makes me vegan. Yes, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, no, that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering. Oh, how come? Okay, cool, awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah, and you are as well, obviously.
Yeah.
What persuaded you, and when did you decide to become vegan?
I became vegan in 2017. Sorry, I've just seen a huge spider. What the fuck?
I'd normally be like, that's fine, but you're in the US, and I'm pretty sure some of them can kill you.
Yeah, I've never seen a spider in my house here in my life. Of course, the second I'm doing this, one just pops up. It's okay. My dog will probably have him. That's not very vegan. I became vegan. I'm like, Alex, come here, go get it. Hey,
that's nature. That's nature. That's the circle of life. You're right. Yeah.
Okay, I became vegan in 2017 because my actions weren't aligning with my morals. I love animals. I've never killed not even a spider or a fly in my life. Like I've always loved animals. And suddenly I can't even remember exactly how, but I was like, wait, I'm contributing to this torture. Like, and like it is torture. And I was like, this goes for absolutely everything I stand against, like universally with people, humans, animals, like anything. And I was just like, wow, I've really been doing that for 23 years or 22 years, I can't remember. But yeah, I remember it literally was a light switch. As soon as I knew too much, I couldn't go back, and I changed overnight. And the more I educated myself, the more horrified I became, and the more I had to tell other people in my life.
And so that's what it's. Yeah, I mean, it is, and there are numerous different reasons for why it's a great idea. And obviously, the environmental reason, the way animals are treated are too. But I mean, and I'll happily admit this, part of it for me was those things combined with a little bit of vanity. Like I watched with that Netflix documentary, What the Health, and I was. Full disclosure, I was on a hangover, so I was feeling pretty fragile and easily influenced. But
they got you when you were vulnerable.
They really did. And so I watched that, and like you say, overnight I was just like, done with that. I'm not going to eat meat anymore. And yeah, so that's
it's shocking, isn't it? Because it's like eating 3 times a day is a big like life commitment. But that's how horrifying it is. You can just change, patterns or habits that have been there for decades, literally overnight. It's shocking.
Do you find it easy, I mean, in this day and age, to convince people? No, I'm not saying you have to be militant about it, but when you sort of explain the ideology that's convinced you to become vegan, are people quite receptive to that?
Definitely now, more than 5 years ago, yeah. I also feel like most people are like flexitarians right now as well, so they kind of have like a meat-free Mondays, or they also love these vegan restaurants. We did a full vegan Christmas dinner last year, me and my group, which are like family to me, and most of us are vegan, and the non-vegans like were fine with it, loved it.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it's the older generations more that are harder to get through to.
Yeah, I mean, like it's interesting because my mum is now vegan. After I became vegan, my mum became vegan, but there was a period, right? But she was very much like, so I'm going to be eating a lot of lentils and stuff. I'm like, no, not anymore. It's the old veganism.
Yeah, dipping carrots in hummus. No, I never eat hummus.
It's quite strange though. I was reading about, there was a little bit of, I don't know if you'd call it a backlash, but for people who'd been vegans, say like 10, 15 years ago, and once it became sort of very popular to be vegan, I think some people whose identity, let's say, was really based around being vegan, sort of found like this loss of identity and the fact that loads more people were now vegan quite difficult to deal with. And people became quite militant. I wasn't going to use that word, about what vegan actually means. And like, well, you cannot wear leather. It can't just be diet based. You can't wear leather. And, you know, honey. I don't know what your view on honey is, but honey is not vegan.
Wow, you really put me on the spot there. You were like,
sorry, that's a bit.
Okay, right. So I actually do eat honey, but I do not wear. No, that's a lie. I do not buy leather, and I try not to buy wool. I don't buy, suede. I actually only buy vegan clothes from now on, but I will still use the clothes I bought before I went vegan, like leather and yeah. And I do sometimes have like reclaimed leather or recycled wool, like things like that. But yeah, that's definitely seeped into like my fashion as well. I will not buy leather, which sucks because there's some really cool designs. I just again, like once you know too much, once you've educated yourself so much, I cannot buy that pair of combat boots without seeing the process. I just can't. I wish I could. I can't, so I have to compromise my style, unfortunately.
But yeah, I mean, for
like, why? It doesn't matter. Like, why would you hurt an animal for that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I 100% do. I 100% do. I was, no, it's weird, and it's weird how the different ways in which you can educate yourself. Because, like I said, part of it was watching this documentary, What the Health. But then I was writing this drama set in this the illegal fishing industry, and for it, I had to research fishing vessels. And just watching videos of like hundreds upon hundreds, thousands of tons of the sea life and bycatch being thrown overboard, it's like a freaking horror movie.
I know.
But I feel like I put you on the spot with a lot of vegan questions, but I was interested. I'm genuinely interested. Let's talk about.
Like I said, I have a company, so I'm used to having these questions thrown at me.
I bet you are actually. So what it's called, Plant Punk?
Yeah, it's Plant Punk. We've been doing it for just under 2 years, but it's launching officially like very soon.
That's exciting.
I think November. I think next month.
And how do you have to taste everything? Do you go that far? Are you like there at the tastings? Is it like sort of meat alternatives? Like you can get like Beyond Burgers, for example, or and such like.
It's exactly like that. Yeah. So Zero Clucks is the chicken, Zero Catch is the fish, Zero Bull is the beef equivalent. So chili or burgers, meatballs, and yeah, my chef Dave is just so incredible at kind of coming up with these recipes, and everyone involved is amazing. So yeah, we've been doing this for about 2 years now.
What's been the hardest? Because you do. I mean, we are trying to replicate like what the meat tastes like, and I don't think there's a problem with that because there's nothing wrong with a burger that tastes like a burger that isn't meat. But what's been the hardest thing to try and get right?
I think probably the texture.
Mm.
Yeah, I've sampled so many. Oh my God, the spider's moving. It got there real quick. Yeah, I've sampled so many.
This is so scary. I'm sort of waiting to see what's going to happen. Like, is it getting closer or is it just moving away? By the end of the interview, is it going to be envisioned?
Honestly, I might have it in. I actually don't mind spiders. I actually think they're quite cute. I know that's weird. I don't care. So who knows? He might be in my hand at the end of this interview.
So yeah, the texture. What do you think? I promise this is the final vegan question because look, we've done a lot, and I want to talk about your acting. Weirdly enough, because
yeah, the other thing I do.
But they've started talking about how they're now in the future. I mean, not now, but I think in the not too distant future, they're going to be able to grow meat in labs. So, you're going to be able to grow a steak that is meat, but didn't ever come from a cow. What's your take on that? Is that, are we then able to eat that because it didn't come from an animal? Is that okay?
Personally, I'm good. I will probably, I can't speak for my future self, but right now I'll probably stick with plants. You'll know about this, but it's not just, the act of killing an animal. It's the hormones that are pumped through the animal. Even moments before it dies, it's the fear that's released into the organs, the muscles. It's the antibiotics it's grown up on. All that in my food, which will end up in my body. Like, listen, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, but I'm fine with not having that in my body. I'm good.
And I think that's great. And I think it's worse weirdly enough, I love America for a lot of reasons, but I do think it's worse in America. I once had a steak at the house, this is years ago, a steak at the House of Blues chain. And I didn't finish it because it was huge. It was like the size of a baby. And I left a tiny bit. And then I went back to my hotel room, woke up at 5 a.m. from jet lag. And the first thing my brain did was go, I want that bit of steak that you didn't finish at the restaurant. And that is because I've never had that before. And that's because it's so full of additives. My body was immediately craving what it just eaten.
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? Well, I tell you, when I went vegan, all my cravings dropped, all of them. But for anything, it was really mad. And I haven't had food poisoning since, like nothing. I don't have to worry about any of that. It's great.
You're almost immortal. You
feel a bit immortal, though, don't you?
You do. Yeah, and you feel good. It is nice to feel good. Right, let's park vegans for 1 second. But listen, I'm really excited. That's really exciting about your company. When did you say it launched here?
I think it launched in November.
Amazing.
It was meant to be last month, but we had to push it back a bit. But yeah, this year.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Hey, so acting. So I think if I'm right, I mean, look, I've done a little bit of research, but you wanted to be an actor from an astonishingly young age, like one of the youngest ages I think I've met someone who at least had the inkling that acting was what they wanted to do. You were like, what, like pre 10 years old, like 6, 5 even?
Yeah, I think I was 5. I was getting into trouble and my parents were like, hey, let's send her to Stagecoach to like get some energy out.
What? Okay, 2 big questions there. First of all, what kind of trouble can a 5-year-old get into?
Oh, I was getting expelled from schools and shit.
At 5 years old?
Yeah.
How?
Just like I like to just push boundaries. I was just naughty. I mean, I can't really remember it. It's just stuff that my parents have told me, but I just remember it just wasn't exciting enough for me. So I would try and make it exciting and just get into trouble.
And so they sent you to Stagecoach. What's that?
So we used to my dad and I used to go and see like a like the Nutcracker Suite or like Swan Lake every year. It was like our like posh tradition, which we weren't posh, but it was like a very posh thing that we did, and I loved it. I lived for it. And apparently, when I was like maybe 5, the the composer came out at the end, and everyone was clapping. And I like stood up and I was like, Dad, I was like, is that Tchaikovsky? And everyone was like, oh. Apparently the whole theatre like started laughing. And my dad was like, no. But like, I just had this love for theatre and art and, you know, performance. And so they, I don't know how, but they were like, let's put her into Stagecoach, which isn't a school. It's like a weekend school for singing, acting, dance. And yeah, it was just such a positive outlet for me, energy wise, that yeah, it just really helped in every other aspect of my life.
And so that did it then. So like all the energy that was being,
it helps.
Okay. And so that was your sort of like way into acting. So what was the first time you were on stage then? Or like, I mean, did they put on productions? Did you get an actual experience of what it was like to act as opposed to, I guess, train as an actor?
Yeah, we did. We put on like little shows, little productions, but nothing serious. I always wanted to do like proper shows, but my parents just had no idea how to, I guess, get me into like a theatre company. I remember wanting to do pantomimes and shit every Christmas. Sorry, I swear so much.
That's fine.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's a Brit. I imagine it doesn't go down as well in LA. They're funny about that. I've used certain words in front of LA production teams, and they have given me looks like that word is not okay in this country.
Yeah, I've also had the same. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, cool. That's why I'm so used to filtering. In London, I'm just like, you know. But yeah, anyway, so it was, I wanted to just like perform, and they didn't know how to do that for me. So I guess just like being a part of a theatre group like Stagecoach, it kind of allowed me to, you know, to have that.
So then you studied. So this is for sort of like into your teenage years, and then I think you sort of you did do some modeling at quite a young age as well. Like another a young age to be doing something like modeling. It's like 13 or something.
Yeah. So many expulsions later.
So you were still getting expelled from school. So like even though you were doing your acting at the weekend, you were still within the, let's say, the confines of academia. You were still not like enjoying that part of the education process.
That's a really great way to put it. It was like it was the confinements of academia, and it was like I think it's different in schools now. I don't really have anyone in my life who is a high school age, unfortunately, to tell, but I think it's different from what I've heard. But I just, when I was in school, I can't believe I'm saying this, but nearly 10 years ago, it was just so stamped, it was just stomped out of you. Like there was just no space for creativity to be taken seriously. Like even GCSEs, I remember a teacher said to me, you can't choose music, drama, and art. They were like, you need to do serious subjects. And I was just like, but these are genuinely the things that I'm best at, or the things that I enjoy the most. And it's just like, how can you look at those subjects and be like, no, like they're not good enough. Like you're never going to get a proper job. What's a proper job? Working in an office 9 to 5 for some billionaire. I'm good. I'm good. But yeah, anyway, so that just didn't, my mind just never became aligned with academia. And the older I got, the more hungry I got to act and to fulfill that, and the more confined I felt. I couldn't believe that, obviously you feel like an adult at 15, 16. I couldn't believe that people were trying to tell me no, that I couldn't do it, you know. So yeah, I started modeling.
That's interesting. Do you think that's also because, I mean, this isn't a hard and fast rule, and I do think it's changing as well, but also acting, especially in the UK, and especially to reach the higher echelons of the acting world, a lot of our biggest stars do come from families that, if they weren't actors or directors themselves, do have quite good connections within the film and TV industry. So, you know, not to say your teachers were right, because no one wants creativity stamped out, but perhaps they were being realists about it in terms of, well, who have you got fighting your corner?
Yeah, 100%. And I think when you're 15, 16, you're unstoppable in that sense. And it's like, oh, that doesn't matter. But actually the reality is your life is very different if your family are in, you know, film or TV, or any kind of entertainment industry, fashion, whatever. The reality is that it is different, and it is, I don't want to say easier, but a lot of my friends that have grown up in those kind of families, I think their journey's been a bit smoother. So yeah, maybe they were being realists.
Maybe they were, or maybe they were just dick teachers. Everyone had them. But when you
everyone had it, yeah.
No, I understand. I had the same thing as you. I was, although it wasn't drama and art, like I was fascinated by history, but I was really good at science. And everyone was like, if you're good at science, you do science. You don't really, this isn't a discussion. Yeah, I know. Because this isn't a science-based podcast, so I'm really not using those GCSEs. So you like I mentioned, so you were doing modeling, but you were doing modeling to save up to get into drama school.
Yeah, I wanted an acting agent, and I didn't know how to get one, and I knew they were really similar industries. I also wanted to go to drama school, and my parents, bless them, they just couldn't afford to send me to acting camp in summer, which I used to go to, and oh God. I remember once I wanted to go so bad, and I didn't really understand the concept of money, and I got my mum's card, and I went and I put it through on her card. I must have been like 14. I just didn't understand, and it makes me really emotional. I just remember she was so brokenhearted when she realized that she couldn't get her money back, and I didn't understand why she was so upset, but like she genuinely couldn't afford it. And I was just like, oh, maybe I was 13, because it was before I was modeling, and I was just like, I need to do this for myself then. Like, I needed to. And a few people had said it to me, and I hadn't really believed it, because at 13 you don't feel great about yourself, let's be honest. And yeah, I had photos of me and my friends on my walls, and I took them down. I circled my face, and I googled like best modeling agency or whatever in London, and it came up with Models One, and I just posted them the pictures.
That's amazing. I mean, that's amazing, because it's that drive, which, you know, I don't want to generalize, but, you know, I think for a lot of people who haven't had the easy access into the industry, it's amazing to hear stories of the lengths people have gone to actually make it work for themselves, like that, like sending off photos of you and your friends, circling your face to a model agency, because look, this is a way in for me.
Yeah. I think it's cool. Maybe the guilt, but no, you're right. And I was the youngest in the agency for years, maybe 3 or 4 years. But yeah, that Friday I got a call, and they were like, come down. I was like, oh shit, okay. So from then on in, I'd be shooting on a Tuesday, and then and I'd go to some Vogue party that night with some photographer or whatever I'd met at the shoot. And then Wednesday morning I'd be like this in a French lesson, trying to keep my eyes open from the night before. Yeah, because I'd got the 6 a.m. bus back to Cheltenham, which is where I was living at the time, and I'd be having to turn up to a science lesson. Yeah, fucked up with a hangover. Wow. It became like I remember my head of year called me Hannah Montana, because it did become like a very true life thing.
So take me through the journey from that into acting, because you did then get into drama school. You went to Sylvia Young.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, that was the first drama school you went to, and then off the back of that, you leave and you book your first job in TV.
Yeah. Yeah, that is what happened. I was still at Sylvia's. I'd made most of my best friends from that school, which was amazing because I hadn't really known anyone in London before. So I had my friendship group, and I'd managed to get myself an agent, and yeah, I booked my first job.
Is it nice being at drama school? I always wonder. I've never been, and I imagine it. On the one hand, it's sort of, I think from the outside looking in, it's kind of like, wow, that must be great because you are doing a passion, something you love, and you're surrounded by people who have the same passion. But at the same time, you're kind of like, well, are we going to be in competition with each other later in life? Am I going to be constantly comparing myself to how good the best person in the class is? Because it's, we're all trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it just became a really safe space. I'd never had the kind of green light go ahead to indulge in performing and art until I got to drama school. And my friends had never been, my friends from high school are amazing. I'm still friends with them, but they had just never been like the thespians that I met at Arts Ed, so that was amazing to really just feel like normal, I guess. I don't know, like not normal, but like not, I don't know, just that it was okay.
Yeah, I can imagine, you probably got some funny looks from your classmates in school rolling in from a Vogue party at 6 a.m. I think there may have been a detachment at school that probably was no longer there when you get to drama school. So yeah. You did. So the first job you booked, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that stalwart of British television, Hollyoaks, which I believe has been running now for 25 years, which is kind of incredible in its own way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was, I mean, I did it for 6 months. I got so much experience out of it. And
you were in and out. I mean, like some people have been on there for literally 25 years. But was it a big moment though, getting it in the first place? Did you think this is like, to book your first job, was it special?
It was hugely special. Yeah, it was just, do you know what? It was the first confirmation I had that I wasn't crazy and that I could actually be a working actor, because up until that point, it had been this dream. It wasn't real. And I had booked some commercials, yeah, but that was kind of through modeling. And it was that first like, oh, fuck, it was a bookmark moment, I suddenly felt the room just get so small around me. I think I was in the studio and I ran out and I ran into Hyde Park because my aura was like huge. I just needed all that space. And yeah, I couldn't stop crying. It was very cute.
It must have been. It must have been a massive moment. Now, I think you may have spoken about this before, but I just want to get my timelines completely right, just because I get fascinated by timelines. So you obviously, in around 2012, there was the opportunity for you to compete in the Summer Olympics, which is, as a statement, is just an amazing thing to say out loud. I'm right, aren't I?
You are correct, yeah.
So this was swimming. You are on top of everything else, an incredible swimmer.
On top of everything else, there's not much, Alex. I'm just sporty and artistic.
A vegan company, acting, and you could have been in the Olympics. It's pretty good going.
You're very kind, thank you.
So seriously, so are you a good swimmer? Because I climbed out of the pool during my 25-meter swimming exam because I thought there was a shark in it. So that's where I got with my swimming.
Yeah, I can hold a stroke.
So what were you going to actually compete in? What was the is it a discipline? Do you call it a discipline? I don't know that much about sport in general, let alone swimming. Let's go with discipline.
Okay. Yeah, it was a lot. It was 5 hours a day every day. It was before school, after school. I think it was something like 40, just under 40 hours a week or something. and my straight was Fly, like Butterfly, the one that's
oh yeah, the ridiculous one. That is, yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I think I loved it because no one else could really do it, so it made me feel better than I was. Because honestly, but yeah, I loved it because it was a commitment. I had good friends there. It was, you know, structure. I love being in water, but it got to a point where the stress of being, you know, the cusp of being a teenager, the stress of that, and the galas every weekend, the competing, it just, I took it very seriously, and I am very competitive as a person. I always have been. And I almost became like, I guess, punishing myself when I wasn't living up to my expectations. So my mental health, I had to step back. And yeah, and acting was becoming a lot more prominent in my life. And I realized that I had love for something else as well that was developing in a really natural way.
Was it a tough decision though? I mean, because on paper, was it Hollyoaks or Olympics? Because that's no, okay. It was just generally acting or swimming.
You know what? It was never even. I think I say lots. Like it was a choice between A or B. It really wasn't. The swimming had come just before. That decision had come just before, but it was it. I still say to this day, apart from leaving home, when I left home, that is probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, because it's such a thing where it's so time sensitive. It's like you've put in, I don't know, let's just say 10,000 hours. And it's like, if you take a day off swimming, it takes a week to catch up. If you take a week off, it takes a month to catch up. Like it really does.
Wow.
And I was falling out of love with it, but I wasn't, but I kind of was. I was falling out of love with the competitive and the stress of the Olympics. And I kind of like took a few sessions off, and I just remember like the reality of it sinking in, of it being more and more time lost. Like I only had a small window of time where I would be able to really pull it back and still make the games. And you know, there's a lot, it's not just you as a swimmer, it's your coach, it's your team. Like there's a lot of people involved in that from a really early age, and you don't want to let anyone down. But yeah, it was a really hard decision. And I think because it was so time sensitive. Yeah, I still think about it sometimes.
I was going to say, you did look a little bit sort of wistful then, is it? Like, no, because there is that thing of big decisions, isn't there, where you sometimes, you know, regret isn't ever the right word, because I think that's quite a negative way of looking at it. But there were points in your life where you have been forced to make a big decision where sometimes you do look back and go, was it the right decision to make?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure.
I still don't think this day. I'm sure. Well, yeah. I think. Did you watch the Olympics? Did you actually watch it after? Yeah,
did you watch?
I still went.
And did you watch the race you would have competed in?
I didn't watch the race I would have competed in person. I couldn't do that, but I did watch it. Yeah, but I was there in person for the rest of the swimming.
Okay.
Yeah, my friends were like, it was amazing to see them, you know.
And just because this is what I do, because I'm a bit weird. Like, did you look at the time that the winner in your event got, and would you have beaten them?
I didn't do that. It's the thing is, when you get down to that point, you're talking of fractions of a second.
Right.
So it's very hard to say. But my fastest time I had done, because I quit a year before the Olympics, like, right. You know, but my fastest time was faster than the slowest person in the race. So at a year before. So it's not to say I would have won, but I definitely wouldn't have lost.
Cool. Oh, that's a good, that's a cool legacy. That's a cool legacy to have. So you go for acting. That's great. You, on paper, again, it looks like work's coming in. Yeah, you part in Jekyll and Hyde, TV movie Casanova, and then you go back to study acting again, like, which seems like a strange decision. Again, from my perspective, because once the ball starts rolling, you know, it's like, well, we've got momentum now. Why would you then go back and restudy acting at, I think it was Arts Ed you went to second this time?
Yeah. Why did I go back and study?
Yeah, rather than just sort of riding the sort of momentum of, you know, having begun your career.
I just felt like I still had a lot to learn with acting. I feel like you can never learn everything. And I feel like I've always been a student of the universe, where I love knowledge, I love learning, whether it's a language, an art, anything. But for me, for some reason, it just felt like the right time to go back to drama school. I wanted to have a really smooth transition from a child actor to an adult actor. And for me, being 17 in Hollyoaks or the Amazon Casanova, I still didn't feel like I was the adult actor that I wanted to be. So yeah, I went back to school. I took a year off and went back.
And how was that? Did you come out of that feeling like you had a much greater understanding of the direction you wanted your career to move in from that point onwards?
I got expelled, Alex. You know that. I got expelled from every school I went to. So yeah, it bit me in the ass.
I mean, listen, I do know that, but it would be wrong for me to just bring that up. If you might have decided I don't want to say that anymore in interviews that I got expelled. But yeah, I know you got expelled. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not proud of it, but it's just the truth, isn't it? What else am I supposed to say?
Yeah, no, that's true. So you got expelled, but you got expelled because you weren't allowed to be there, because you had an agent and you were working, and there are certain rules, and you broke them rules.
I did break them. They said to me in the audition process, hey, we found out that you're rep by UTA. You're going to need to drop that agent. And I was like, I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Like, you got me, kind of thing. And then, and I didn't. I kept going to auditions. I was cheating on them, essentially. I mean, I was pulling up to school. I was doing the Shakespeare monologues. I was doing all that, but I was sneaking off to auditions as well, at lunchtime or whatever. And I booked a job, and I tried to keep both. I was I was filming. I let a few teachers know, and they would, bless them, they would come in on the weekends and help me catch up. Like, I really, really did try and keep my place there. But 6 weeks before graduation, the Board of Education just turned around and was just like, we found out, and like, no, so I couldn't graduate.
So was it because you hadn't attended enough lessons, or was it genuinely like, look, this is just because I don't know, man, it seems kind of crazy to go, we're training actors here to go out into the world and be actors. You're acting, you're fired. Get out of the school. It's weird, huh?
Tell me about it. I know, it's so fucked up. It was my attendance. I think I'd missed like 11 classes that week or something. It was just a really busy week at work for me, and they were just like, your attendance has just dropped below what it can be. And I felt awful, because so many teachers, my head of year, etc., had like really given up their weekends or their evenings to study with me. But hey, I was actually working. And you know what section I was missing out on? Was the film and TV section. And I was like, yo. You just can't learn life experience. So it was just so counterproductive for me to, whatever. Anyway, yeah.
No, I can relate. I was doing a media and communications course at Goldsmiths College in London, and I got my first job on MTV, and I was like, well, I'm here to work in TV, and I've just got a job at MTV. And in fairness, they were like, well, you cannot do both, but they were pretty good about it. They went, yeah, get the fuck out of here, kiddo, go do it. And I was like, thank you very much. I will do. Can I later on come back for an honorary degree? That has yet to be confirmed. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like you could actually, and I do feel like I could probably finish my degree at Arts Ed at some point. My roommate here, Ella, she's an actress as well. She had to finish her drama school early because she started doing Charlie's Angels, that movie. And they let her graduate later, so maybe we could.
I mean,
maybe we don't care.
But I think that's the thing. Yeah, I think that's the thing. Because ultimately, you know, a lot of these things that, you know, they're training you to do the job that if you've already got there, you know, who am I to undermine the whole notion of going to drama school? I'm sure, or, you know, studying anything. But I do think sometimes if, you know, lightning strikes at the right time, you should pursue it. And that's what you did, which is cool. So now this is the period in your career where the Royals, this is where American TV comes calling. So we've got the Royals, like E Channel's first ever scripted show. Are you in LA at this point auditioning for these? Because I know the Royals was filmed in the UK, but you were still in the UK at this point.
Yeah, I was still in the UK.
So, no, go on.
Yeah, it was just off the back of Jekyll and Hyde. I had gone to LA for pilot season that year. I hadn't been very successful, as you know, sometimes as actors we're not. Yeah, go on.
Pilot season sounds terrifying. It's basically going around from audition to audition, basically going hello and meeting companies for the first time as an unknown a lot of the time, and seeing whether, you know, you get a bite. Right, that's pilot season.
Yeah, it's brutal. You walk into a room and there's 30 people who look just like you, but who actually are American and have visas and have a natural accent and who aren't jet lagged going in for the same thing. And you're like, why am I here? Why am I here?
And also probably have done it before and know the system. I guess it's that part of the nerves come from, you know, not just being an alien in another country, but also not understanding how it works. Like people going, you understand how this works, right? You stand here, you deliver that, you look that way, then we'll do that. And sometimes no one explains shit to you. So you just like, sorry, what happens next?
100%. The system here is so different. But even the inflections of words, like the pronunciation, privacy, they say privacy. They say privacy. So it's like, I would go in and be like privacy or whatever, and just not articulate certain words right and just stick out like a sore thumb. You know, it's really hard. But yeah, it's brutal pilot season. So I didn't get lucky. Shock horror.
But then the Royals came along separately then. That was, or someone saw you at pilot season, or there was a tape. How did this come about? This is Elizabeth Hurley's show that she created.
Yeah, it's Liz's show. You know what? I had gone back to the UK and I was auditioning for shows based in England, so the Royals. And I had gone up for this role. I had long blonde hair, and I was told that they'd given the role to someone else after a recall. So I was like, okay, this sucks, but whatever. And I had gone back to LA. I'm not sure why, but I had gone back to LA at that point, and I had a moment of, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to change my look, and I'd cut all my hair off. So it was basically like this, which is short and white. And of course, lo and behold, the day I fucking cut it off, that agent calls me and is like, hey, the Royals want you for a different role. And I was like, you have to be kidding me. He was like, no, why? What's happened? And I was like, I've cut my hair off. And he was like, well, how much? And I was like, it's on the floor, it's all off. And he was like, oh, like, I don't know. I was in so much trouble. And so I sent him a picture. He sent it to the showrunner, Mark. And Mark was like, we love it. Yeah, we want her. And crazily enough, I had 2 other auditions that week. Crazily enough, I booked all 3 jobs that week. And I hadn't worked for 8 months.
So you're like the opposite of Samson. Like, you cut your hair and everything works out.
I must have just gone in with just like a new energy, or maybe people. It was at a time where people didn't really have short hair in this industry that much, especially for women. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I booked all 3. Krypton was one of them, and then this ABC show, Star-Crossed Lovers, was another. I had to turn that down because I couldn't do all 3 of them, but I did 2 of them. Yeah, it was mad. My team were about to fire me for cutting my hair, and then they were like, oh, okay. I was in so much trouble.
I mean, look, you know, can you qualify it in some way? Like, was there something, was like the act of cutting your hair, like, did it give you some sort of like new attitude? Not because you had short hair, but because you had reached a kind of fuck you point in terms of like, I'm gonna stop trying to be I don't know, an English rose, let's say, for example, you know, and I'm gonna just do me. And that's what powered you through, and suddenly everything worked out.
Yeah, I think just switching it up. Like, I've been in this box of, I'd had long blonde hair literally since I was 13, since I started modeling. And yeah, I'd been put in this box that, well, to be honest, my personality never fitted into, but it got me jobs. So there I was. But I just grown, like I had just grown up, and that haircut no longer, or the hairstyle no longer served my personality. So I think when I kind of brought that up to speed, I really started to like shine from the inside out, let's just say, for lack of a better word.
No, that was pretty good. That was pretty poetic. I like that. So is it different then now? Because, like, you know, Krypton, obviously Batwoman, you know, the Infinite, we're going to talk about all of them in a little more depth, but it feels like things are working out for you in America, and like perhaps that how to put this, your sensibilities as an actor and your vibe as an actor is perhaps something that gels well with American networks, American productions. Is that fair, or is it just a matter of where you are in your career?
It is fair, and strangely enough, I've always wanted to be in England as much as I can, and I love British shows, and I love the people in the British entertainment industry, like the casting directors I get on with so well, you know, the producers, I think they're all incredible. I just seem to work better in the States. Like, it's genuinely no shade. Like, it's just, I feel like the parts are closer to like the direction I want to go as an actor. The productions are just on a different scale, which I prefer. I can really be in as an actor. The only L is that I'm not with, you know, close to home or with my friends and family, but like, that's a sacrifice right now I'm willing to make for my job. So, but yeah, I the last 5 years, it's all been American movies or shows. It's pretty mad.
And you got to play in the DC playpen, first of all, with David S. Goyer, who obviously created Krypton. I mean, there's a guy who knows his superheroes. Blade 2, Batman Begins. Those are three great movies to have on anyone's CV.
Yeah. I feel very fortunate. David's such a legend, actually. We were going to potentially work together last year as well on Sandman, that new Netflix show that just came out, I think, this week. He's an absolute pleasure, such a joy to work with. Didn't work out. But yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. That would have been. I mean, I've yet to watch it, but obviously Neil Gaiman's a freaking legend. That's a shame that didn't work out, huh?
Yeah. I had to choose. Jobs are like this. You always have to choose. Like, I'm not saying that I had an offer from Salmon. I didn't, but I was being seen numerous times for it, and it just got to a point where I had to sign. I had a movie on the table, I had Batwoman on the table, and I just had to, they both needed a decision, so I had to sign the contract, you know, or turn them both down and screen test for, yeah, I don't know. It's hard, isn't it?
It is. Well, it is. I mean, it's nice though. I mean, of the decisions you have to make, it's quite nice. But yeah, I mean, I don't know which way I'd have gone with that. I think you made the right decision. But then I haven't seen Sandman. So I don't know. I mean, you're not asking me, so I don't know why I'm even answering this question. But
no, but you're right too, because it is so hard to know what the quote unquote right decision is at the time. And obviously in hindsight, you look back at things and you're like, okay, maybe that would have been better for me at that time. But like, you know, in the moment, all you have to go on is what you know. And Sandman was just a script at that moment in time, and so was that other movie. And you know, Batwoman wasn't. So yeah.
So with Batwoman then, and Krypton as well, but Batwoman, I mean, you're dipping your toe into an arena that has a voracious fan base. Like, you know, I mean, anything based in the DC universe, whether it's Superman, whether it's Batman, you know, comes with you know, people who know this lore more than I do. More than, I don't know how much of a comic book fan you are, but probably more than both of us put together. People who have lived this. Did you find there was a sea change in attention, let's say, on you once you entered these worlds?
Yeah, 100%.
In a nice way, because I mean, what comes with that is people going, you know, hey, you're in Batwoman, and this is sort of my playpen that you're entering. So I guess there's a sort of weird power dynamic between fan and star on shows like that.
Yeah, I felt really, really fortunate because when I was up for it last year, there was circulation and support online for me to kind of, you know, replace Ruby then. And at that time, it just didn't swing that way. So, you know, when Caroline, the showrunner, kind of came back around a few months later, it just, something about it felt right. And I feel so fortunate because it was like the fans almost had fan cast me, like they kind of got their little, you know, yeah. So I was fortunate enough to not, I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't trawl through, you know, Twitter, and maybe there was negative stuff, I have no idea. But overall, it was quite overwhelming, like the amount of support that I had. So I was really, really grateful and blown away by that.
Is it fun? Is it fun being in a show like that? Because from the outside looking in, it looks like a fun thing to be involved in.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's amazing. You know, the cast are amazing. Everyone involved in that show is amazing. And I just felt so welcomed unanimously as soon as I got there. I just felt so fortunate that this had kind of worked out in the way that it did. Don't get me wrong, the night shoots are long. Like it's a long shoot. And as you know, we're filming it's 17, you know, plus hours a day. So yeah, it was long, but honestly, it was just incredible. Like the stunts, the storyline, like I loved it. I loved every second of being on that show.
And I think didn't Ruby herself, she was very complimentary about your casting as her replacement as her character.
Yeah.
That's got to be nice as well. Just like to sort of dot the final I guess.
Yeah, it was weird actually, because I had congratulated her when she got it. It was weird. You know, I'd messaged her and congratulated her and wished her luck with the season premiere. So when she was, you know, a year later congratulating me, it did feel kind of weird, but it was great to kind of have that support from her as well. So yeah.
Now, the movie that only just came out here in the UK, you've probably been waiting for this movie to come out for fucking ages. How long ago did you actually shoot Infinite? Because it came out about just over 2 weeks ago in the UK, but you shot it when?
We shot it in 2019, pre-pandemic. It was meant to come out 7 months after we finished shooting it. But then, yeah, COVID had just started happening at that time. And then it ran through into 2020, and then it ran through into 2021. And yeah, the movie ended up getting released so much later, which was so annoying, but it was nice to watch it though, because I couldn't remember what I'd done. I was like watching it for the first time myself. I'd be in the studio for it here in LA, and I'd be like, oh yeah, just play like the last few scenes back again.
So where did you watch it? Did you watch it? Did they do a screening out there for you, or did you watch it on at home?
This sounds really unglamorous. I was actually trying to get Mark to do a screening without like asking him. I was trying to do it in a really like really subtle way, but he didn't bite. But yeah, we just had a screening, me and my friends here in LA, in my house, which was just, you know, it was the height of COVID, of the Delta variant this year. So we couldn't do a screening. Nowhere was open. Cinemas were still closed. So yeah, it definitely did, just straight up, it did suck in that sense. You know, I wanted to see the cast and we wanted to celebrate together. And, you know, as an individual actor, like we had so much planned for that premiere. It would have been my first like proper, you know, big, cool premiere.
I know, right? I can imagine that sucks. So wait, it's the Mark Wahlberg of the movie that we're talking about. You were trying to convince Mark Wahlberg to put a screening on.
Yeah, I messaged. Yeah. Yeah, but didn't happen. I've only seen it once actually since we wrapped that movie. Because yeah, COVID. We haven't been able to see anyone. But yeah.
It's a great cast. I mean, there's yourself, Mark Wahlberg, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Toby Jones is in there. It must, yeah. I can imagine. I think for me as a viewer as well, it's that thing. So, you know, I'm lucky enough to have very nice TV because I spend most of my life watching movies and/or TV.
It's an investment.
It's an investment. It is. It's work. It's research. It's probably tax deductible. I haven't checked that. But the point is that it's the kind of movie that just of all the movies I've seen, sort of that have been released to streaming platforms, you sort of go, this belongs on the big screen. Because it's so the action is so big, you know.
Yeah, it definitely did belong in the cinema. You know, I might get in trouble for saying this, but you know, it was a unanimous feeling amongst all of us. It was such a shame it didn't go into theatre, because it was made, you know, for cinema. And Antoine Fuqua is such, oh my gosh, such an incredibly talented, intuitive director that he really does make movies to be seen in a movie theater. And it doesn't matter what, no disrespect to you, Alex, it doesn't matter what TV you have, it's just not the same experience, is it?
It never is. No, especially not on a movie of this scale. I mean, some of the action in it is out there. And isn't Antoine Fuqua such a freaking lovely guy as well? I met him on the set of The Equalizer 2, and I was like, he's such a nice person with such a good energy to be around.
Yeah, he's amazing. He saw me straight away for his next film, Bullet Train, the Brad Pitt one, which is awesome. It didn't go my way, unfortunately, but he seems like a very, once he likes you, you're kind of in his life, I guess. And the words of affirmation he gave me throughout that whole project, because, you know, you're like, I was playing with big actors in that project, and it can be, I guess it can be quite intimidating. Obviously, it's your job to not let that show, but just to have those words of affirmation, the words that he said to me on set, off set, as a director, it just, you know, it's really, yeah, it's just really incredible as an actor to have that from someone that you respect so much. They stay with you, you know.
Yeah, I bet, because like you said, I mean, you've got some scenes with Chiwetel Ejiofor, you know, which is, I mean, it's
one of the greatest of our time. Yeah, he's an absolute magician. He's the person I stayed the closest with on that set, and he's just such an artist. Honestly, I treasure all my time with him.
Yeah,
as corny as that sounds, I really do.
No, he made to use your ballet reference from earlier. He made playing with attack drones with his hands look beautiful.
Burlesque, yeah, I know. But his method, man, it's so like we all have kind of like our way ins as actors, but like no one would say anything. It would never be addressed. They'd just play music at the top of the scene, and it would be, I don't know, let's just say something classical. Let's just say Tchaikovsky. It would like, you would just see him like sway with it, and it would like, you would see the physical shift. I can only imagine what was happening mentally, but like, you just see him shift from Chiwetel to whatever character he's playing, and the music stops, and they call action, and you're not acting with Chiwetel. You're there with the character. It's so easy to act with people like that. I love it. It's so easy. You don't have to do anything. You're just there with them. It's real.
That's amazing, because it's the atmosphere they create, like that infuses you as well, and you just feed off. Wow.
Obviously, as someone who's so less experienced than Chiwetel, it's like you pick up all these incredible little habits and techniques, and it's just like, and again, no shade on drama school, but this is just stuff that you just can't learn at drama. Like you cannot learn it at drama school.
So in terms of, and also you got to do your Muay Thai. I never know how to pronounce it because it's not a word I've said very often. Did I pull it off? Great. You get to have that. I don't even know if it was Muay Thai that you were using, but you get to have a kick-ass fight with Sophie Cookson in that as well, which looks like hard work, to be honest.
You know what? We learned that on the day. They were like, yeah, it was proper crazy. We were both fortunate to have stunt doubles. But I really wanted to kind of do as much of it as possible. But I remember being quite pissed because they were like, okay, cool. So we've got an hour. So just whenever you guys have a moment in between takes, come up and we're going to teach you this fight scene. And I was like, and I said, like, you know, I'm very passionate about my fight scenes. And I said, listen, this is choreography that we should really have days to rehearse. But you know, on a film set, you just don't have that luxury. Like, everything is going so fast. And sometimes you do on huge budget things. You know, not that Infinite wasn't a big budget, of course it was, but like, that's why I was shocked that we still weren't having that time. But Sophie's great at stuff like that, honestly, and it became very much like a dance between the two of us. So I feel very fortunate to have had such a hardworking, you know, actor to fight against. And the stunt doubles were incredible.
And so to look at that, so that's, like you just said, it's your biggest movie today. So when you are looking at scripts coming in now, and when you're thinking about where you want to go with your career, in terms of what's next, what are you looking for? Is there like sort of one thing, like I want to do that? That is the thing for me, like a kind of role, a particular movie, you know, entering, you know, a franchise universe. Is there something that really sort of gets you going?
There's never been one thing in mind for me. There's never been a goal in terms of like an actual character. But there's definitely direction. You know, for me, the first impression you get, obviously, is from the writing, is the script. Mm-hmm. And the way I know that it's the right script for me is if I can't stop turning the pages. You know, I have to hold my pee in because, you know, I have to stay dehydrated because I can't stop flicking the, you know, pages, or I want to write notes like straight away on the character. Like I want to dissect it. I want to annotate it. Like for me, that's how I'm like, okay, this script is my kind of script. And for me, it's normally about, like psychological with some action. Like they're the things that I like. I love sinking my teeth into a multi-dimensional character that has some really cool, you know, that has a really strong motive behind her and just ends up having some really cool shit to do, you know?
So what is next? What are you on to next? Are you lined up?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm cool now. Of course I'm not, but yeah, I have 2 projects in the pipeline, which are really, really exciting. One's a show, one's a movie, and both are happening next year. So I just feel really fortunate. They're both completely different roles, but in the same kind of genre, which is away from the sci-fi superhero genre, which is nice because as much as I love doing it, I feel like, you know, being involved in the Superman legacy, the Batman legacy, like I feel like now's the right time, unless it was like a movie. I feel like now's the right time to kind of, you know, go in a different direction for a minute. I've scratched that itch.
That sounds great. That sounds good. And now I do have 2 more questions. First of all, what is your dog called? Because he has been wandering around the back of frame every so often. Who's that?
This is Arlo. Oh, Arlo. You're not American. Sorry. In America, I have to say Arlo because otherwise they think it's ALO, that yoga company, Aloe. But this is Arlo.
Arlo. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're back where we started with, like, having to change dialect for country.
Yeah, the way I just said it so casually. This is Arlo.
Okay, so that's Arlo. What is he? What is he? I can only make out like his little head.
Come here, sleepy. He's so sleepy. Sorry. He's a Japanese Shiba Inu.
Oh, I've seen them. They oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look at that.
He's got a cough at the moment, so.
Oh no.
All right, we'll put you down. Sorry.
He's amazing. That's my Whippet Simon there. So.
You have a Whippet?
Yeah.
Simon.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But Arlo, I have to say, there are not many dogs that I would count as cute as Simon, obviously, because you'd
obviously Simon. Hello.
But Arlo is definitely a cute dog. That's great. Hey, Wallis, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. Thank you for your time, and just good luck with everything. And I did find it amusing earlier where you said, I stopped swimming because it was a bit competitive, and you decided to go into Hollywood. That seems slightly insane, but I love it.
I know. And then I decided to go into the most competitive industry probably in the world. I know.
Well, I look forward to seeing you for your next project. Good luck with everything, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for your time, Alex. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers. Hello, Alex here. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to get in touch with us at all, for any reason, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at JTFpod. And don't forget to subscribe to the full audio podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your pods.